Hello everybody, this is Pu Manchu, and today I'm doing a guide on how to set up the custom client Hurricane for the game Haven&Hearth. So first thing you want to do is head on over to the Steam workshop for Haven&Hearth, browse, go to items, and then pick up the Hurricane client. You can also find it on his Discord or on the forums. And also you can download it on the GitHub. Okay, so head on over to in-game now, and we'll just run down the settings. So just open settings, video settings. This is mainly just personal preference, but I'm going to show you how I set up my client for combat and PvP efficiency. So I'm going for like highest frames per second. I don't necessarily care as much about how the game looks, but you might care more about that. So to start with, I turn off render shadows, just gives you a few more FPS. Turn off vertical sync. I just limit my frame rate to my monitor's hertz rate, and I limit the frame rate when I'm not got it as my focused window down to 30. Just helps to save a bit of computer resources. With the lighting mode, I find that global is better than zoned, like just for performance, but your results may vary. And light source limit, just turn that down to the minimum. Frame sync mode, I've tried a bunch of these, but I just set it to CPU sequential because I have quite a strong CPU, so I'm not actually really sure what this mode does, but yeah, I find that CPU sequential works well for me. Okay, so that's done with the video settings. Audio settings doesn't really matter as much, you can just set it to what you want. Going into the keybinds. I'll show you first in the advanced settings. If we go to interface, I have this ticked, disable all menu grid hotkeys, and what this does is it stops you from, like, if you go over here, you can see the A in red. Usually if you press A on your keyboard, it would open the adventure menu. If you pressed B on your keyboard, it would open the build menu. C on your keyboard, it would open the craft menu, so on. But with this setting enabled in Hurricane, it doesn't do that. And the reason why I have this is will become apparent when we go back into keybinds. I have a lot of the keybinds attached to keys on my keyboard that would usually be engaged by the UI down here, but I've disabled that. So yeah, this is all just personal preference, but I have inventory on tab, and equipment on T, character sheet on U, map window on H. So like, if I press tab, open my inventory, equipment T, U, H. Search action, I have on caps lock. That is a custom feature in the Hurricane client. You can bring it up and then just type in pi, find stuff, you know, axe, wax, you know, stuff like that. So in combat actions, you can see I have mine will look quite different from yours because I have them set up pretty custom, and this is another thing where having that setting that I showed you earlier, having the keybinds disabled, the game's default keybinds that are attached to the UI down here in the bottom right corner. It's really important to have your combat set up in a way that's comfortable for me, and you might find it more comfortable as well than the game's default configuration, which is using the number keys, I think. So yeah, I have mine set up to WASD pretty much, and then E and Q. These keys down here are set to my mouse keys, my MMO mouse keys. So you can set that up how you want. These ones are really important down here as well. Aggro nearest target. Aggro nearest target to cursor is very important. I have mine set to Q, so essentially what that means is wherever your cursor is placed, nearest to your cursor, when you hit Q, you will aggro that player or animal. That's essential in PvP. Aggro all non-friendly players. This is good for when you when you run into a group of players. You can just aggro all of them using one button. Animal cheese. Animal cheese is used to re-aggro the animal when it runs away from you. So when you're hunting it, when you get the animal low, it will try and attempt to run away from you, and essentially what this does is when you press the key, it will just like spam re-aggro the animal, and then the animal will run back towards you and you can kill it. Piece current target, self-explanatory, it just pieces your current target. I have that set to V on my keyboard. Drink button, this is another essential feature for PvP. So I would recommend setting it to a key that you feel very comfortable hitting. I have mine set to space, and you need it because during PvP you'll be needing to time your drinking action appropriately, and the drink button will really help you to do that. Night vision, this is another, debatable whether it's advantageous or not to have it during PvP, but a lot of people do use it. If I just press Control N on my keyboard, you can see the difference between having the nightlight on or not. Inventory search, I don't really use that too often. Set to a really weird keybind. Object search, same goes, I don't really use it that much. Click nearest object to your cursor. This is really this is really good for PvP and just general quality of life when playing the game. Say you're outside foraging for mushrooms or berries, you can just pretty much click this one button and your character will auto-navigate to whatever one of these categories is closest to your cursor. And in PvP it's also very important because the PvP meta in this game revolves around clicking on bunnies and squirrels and tiny little woodland creatures to get a small speed advantage to get away from your chasers. And yeah, having the click nearest object to your cursor key, I have mine set to a custom key on my MMO mouse, but anything that's comfortable for you, because yeah, it's really needed. Hop on nearest vehicle. This is can be a lifesaver as well, so instead of having to right click on the horse and giddy up, or right click on the gnar or sneak and click join the crew, all you have to do is press the one button that you set on hop to nearest vehicle and your guy will auto navigate to the vehicles. That can be a lifesaver in PvP as well. Lift nearest object into cart. This is more of just quality of life, but say you have a wagon or a cart and you've got 20 chests that are on the ground and you want to put them in and you don't want to press lift every time, you can just press this one key and it runs a little script that your guy goes and picks up the chest and puts it into the cart or wagon. It's pretty cool. Toggle collision boxes. If I come over to these rocks over here, you'll be able to see this. If I press Shift B, it adds little lines around the hitboxes of objects, and it shows you where you can and can't walk. Some people use this in PvP. Personally, I don't use it in PvP that much. I use, I'll show you, if I press Control H, that just hides the objects entirely, and this works for, most things in the game, like buildings, trees, rocks. There's a few things that it doesn't work on, I think, maybe tubs, like tanning tubs and drying racks. But there's a few things, but it works on most things, and this is also essential in PvP, as it will allow you to see critters a lot more easily. If you don't have this turned on and you run through a dense forest, you're at a disadvantage, essentially, compared to someone that has it on. Display growth info on plants. That's if you have crops in the ground, it will display the level of growth on your crops. It's pretty helpful. Show bush and tree harvest icons. I can show you that over here. If I take off that. See this little icon here on the bush? If I press Shift Control P, I can turn that on and off, and that works on trees and bushes and all sorts. It's quite helpful. It is visual clutter though, you may not like it because it makes the game look a little bit less pretty. Yeah, to be honest, most of these settings are quite self-explanatory, I don't really use them. Show object speed is actually very good. You see how when I move, you can see my speed. If I press Shift Control S, it's gone. And the reason why you would want this is because in PvP, you want to be able to see how fast you're moving in comparison to how fast your attacker is moving. And it can help you to know that you're getting the speed boost from clicking on critters. It's good for learning. But yeah, for the rest of these, you know, these are the important ones. Toggle object hiding, show object speed for PvP, and loot nearest knocked player. So if you knock a player in PvP, you can just press C and you will run over and loot them. There is an auto loot settings menu that we'll get into later on in the video. Instant logout. Self-explanatory, it just logs you out when you press F12. Okay, so that's the key bindings done, guys. On to the advanced settings. We'll start off with interface. Show frame rate. It just shows frame rate in the... we'll start with interface scale, sorry. So this pretty much just makes the UI bigger or smaller. It's just entirely personal preference, depending on how old you are and how blind you are. Show frame rate, that just, you know, toggles the frame rate up in the top right corner. Snap windows back when dragged out. If you have this turned off, you can drag the windows out of the screen and they won't snap back. But if you turn it on, they will snap back. Well, supposedly. They snap back somewhat. I guess that setting is bugged at the moment. Never mind. Drag windows in when resizing game. That's just like, you know, if you have a second monitor and you minimize the game, it will shuffle around your interface automatically. Show hover inventories. So that's like this, the hover inventory. On your belt, you can make it so it shows hover inventory only when holding shift. Enable quick slots widgets. So if I disable this, you can see up here, my stuff disappears. This is another one that's important for PvP, because you know, you want to be able to see how much water you have in your jugs, and you also want to be able to see what you have equipped, and you know, you want to be able to click on your belt so you can open and close it. You can go through the settings. You can do backpack if you want. You can do cape if you want. I don't do that. Moving on. This is just stuff to do with your study report. Shows what curiosity has formally placed in each slot. So if I open my study, my mini study, you can see the little icons here. If I turn it off, they disappear. So you can see what I've been studying pretty much. I don't know why that's useful, but it's an option. Lock study report. So essentially if I clicked on this right now, I would lose progress in studying of my curio. it can mess you up quite big time when you're learning the game. If you hit lock study, you essentially won't be able to move curios out of your study once you place them inside, unless you come into the settings and turn off lock study. I don't have mine turned on because I just tend to be careful when clicking on my study. Sound alert for finished curiosities. That could be useful if you had like curios in your inventory and you're wanting to like switch them out as soon as possible. I don't have it turned on currently, but might be good for wipe day. Always on mini study in login, so essentially this little mini study will pop up every time you log into the game. It can be useful or annoying depending on how you're feeling. Always show combat UI stamina bar, always show combat UI health bar. So see these two little bars down here, the green and the blue bar? This is part of Hurricane's custom combat UI, and you can choose. Right now I'm sparring with my alt over here, Trade Manchu. But if I wasn't sparring right now, if I had these two options enabled, essentially these two bars would always be here. So I can just show you that, so I can show you that if I just quit out of the spar, you'll see that the combat UI goes away. If I click it on, it's there permanently, even when I'm not sparring. Bring back up the combat UI. Thank you, Trade Manchu. Alright, transparent quest objectives window. This makes the quest objectives window background transparent like the default client. Simplified UI theme. If you have this unticked, you get these little flowery things. Makes the game look pretty. It's just personal preference. Extended mouse over info. It says it's pretty for devs. I don't think most people need it. Yeah, we already went over this one, the disable all menu grid hotkeys, but I'll just go over it again anyway. What it does is it just disables all these grid hotkeys, and then that opens up the ability for you to bind all of these keys on your keyboard to more useful things. It's personal preference, but I think it's pretty much essential for PvP. Always open belt on login. That's the same thing like with the mini study, the belt down here. Usually you would open and close it by clicking on your belt here, but you can have it always open on login as well with this option. Show name marker names. Show map marker names, sorry. The marker names are not visible in compact mode. Okay. Right, so if you click on this, it pretty much just changes the orientation of the bars. That's entirely personal preference. Experience event window location, top, bottom. Not sure, I guess that's just when an experience pop-up comes up, if it's at the top or bottom. Map window zoom speed, map icon size. I'm not going to open my map because of security reasons, I hope you understand. Okay, I think we're finished with the interface settings. Onto the action bar settings. The action bars are down here. Don't mind the overlapping UI, it's just I've had to lift my action bars up slightly to get it into shot. But I can move them so they're in clearer view. The action bars pretty much have hotkeys attached to them. You can set these hotkeys here. You can pick up to 4 bars. You move the bars using middle mouse click, so clicking the mouse wheel inwards. And yeah, Hurricane lets you have up to 4 bars. And you can set all of the custom hotkeys here. You can also change their orientation, vertical, horizontal. I just go with 2 bars. And quickly run through my bar settings. I have refill water container script, so pretty much what this does is if I stand in a shallow water tile and click this hotkey, I will automatically fill up my jugs. It's good in PvP. 4 I have lift, 5 I have destroy, 6 I have equip my traveller axe, 7 I have equip my cup blade, 8 I have dig, 9 is inspect, 0 is travel back to your hearthfire. F4, F5, this is rawhide. This is important if someone runs up on you on a horse, you can click it and they will pretty much be frozen in place for about something like 3 to 5 seconds. And sometimes the horse, I think, can damage them if they get kicked off it. But yeah, it's a good ability to help you escape in PvP. Switch to different combat decks. This is another custom thing from the Hurricane client. It lets you switch to different combat decks. You might want to do this if you were running like different setups, like maybe combat meditation and bloodlust, or yeah. And then clear combat damage. This is just to clear the combat damage numbers, so it doesn't get too confusing. You know what's fresh and what's not. Okay, so now that we're done with the bars, the action bar settings, I will move my action bars back down to their original placement. You won't be able to see them anymore because they're off shot, but don't worry, they're still down there. Okay, combat settings. The big one. Top height panel. This is just like the orientation of your UI. Personal preference. Some people like it up here. Some people like it down here. You pick what you like. It's all good. Bottom panel height. This is your combat moves. You can pick where you want them to go as well. I put them just below my combat my top panel. Show estimated agility. So this is like if you're fighting someone, the client will attempt to make a judge of their agility based on some kind of math. I'm not really sure how that works. Include HHP text in health bar top panel. I'm not really sure what this one does either. Stamina bar location. This is just like whether you want it to be attached to the bottom or top panel. UI panel that you can control up here. Okay, now on to the more important ones. Show combat move hotkeys. You can just disable showing them, like if you're already familiar with your hotkeys, you can just disable them. Saves you some clutter. Single row for combat moves. This is whether you want 2 rows or 1 row. Personally, I like 1 row. Combat move damage prediction. So these little red damage numbers here, it will predict how much damage it thinks you're going to do on a move based on how much openings they have in there. Display combat openings above yourself. So if I come over here to trade Manchu and get him to punch me, you can see the combat openings that are above me. If I turn this off, it will go away. So it's just another way you can see your openings down here, and you can see your openings up here. Display combat data above combat foes. So this will tell you what stance they're using and how much coins they have. So if I use take aim to get coins, you can see my coins are going up. And it will, if Trade Manchu were to take aim, this number would go up here, the red number. Show on other combat foes. So if I had more than one foe right now, I would be able to show this little UI on top of all of their heads. Show combat stance maneuver. This just shows you the stance maneuver. I would recommend having it on. You can also have the option to only show the openings above you when higher than 30. So, that's just personal preference, I don't have it on. Only show coins when higher than 4, personal preference. Display damage info, including wounds, armor. So, if I come over here and punch Puma Trade Man, you can see if I take this away, it takes away the damage numbers. Display damage info, pretty much like armor is green and wounds is red. Trade Man Joe isn't wearing any armor right now, but if he were to be wearing armor. Okay, moving on. Show combat openings as coloured letters. So down here, where these bricks are, you can change it to letters if you want, if you find that better. You can also change the colours to whatever you want, if you come in here. So if you have a hard time seeing any of them, just change it to what you want. You get a bit confusing though. Combat IP coins. So this is like these two, this white and red, this white 4 and this red 0 over here. You can control what colour you want these to be using these two settings under combat IP. Highlight party members. So if I invite Trade Man Jew to a party, you will be able to see that our colour changed. We are in a party together. So you can set what colour you want your party to be using this setting. It can be helpful in large PvP group fights, when stuff gets really hectic and you just need to know who are your teammates and who aren't. I'll leave that party now. You see when I leave the party, the colour goes away. Highlight combat foes. You can choose to highlight combat foes if you want. I personally don't. Another very important setting is you see this white star underneath Trade Man Jew. That shows me that I currently have him aggroed. Show circles under combat foes is like if you had a second opponent, there would be a little circle around them to let you know that you are in combat with them. The white star that I referred to is actually controlled by the combat foes thing here. You can change it to a different colour. Just change it to whatever colour you find most easy to see. I prefer white. It's easy to see. You can change the size of the sprite. I just leave mine as small. Draw chase vectors. So essentially with the draw chase vectors, you see this little white line that's created whenever I move my guy. The draw chase vectors will also show you lines of the people chasing you. Like if a person chasing you clicks on a little bunny or a critter, it will show you a line, a grey line. And if the player is chasing you or a party member, it will show a red line. So that can be really useful, just to let you know where people are going. I also like the draw current path. Without the draw current path turned on, you see this white line goes away. If I turn on the draw current path, you can see there's a white line created. It just helps me to know where I'm going. Show your combat range circles. So you can see these circles underneath me. You can toggle them on and off using this setting. Essentially what this is the green circle that's around me is my melee range, and the purple circle around me is my weapon range. So right now I'm using a sword called the Cutblade. It is a two-handed sword and it has a high range, so that's why I have these two circles. Alright, I think we finally finished up with the combat settings. On to the quality display settings. Yeah, this is just like if you want to color code qualities, you can. Display quality. Display quality on inventory items can be quite useful. Just shows you the quality of all your stuff. Rounded quality number, not sure what this is. But yeah, I'd recommend keeping this on. Chat settings, not really sure. You can just personal preference, you know. Altered gameplay settings. Override cursor item and prevent dropping it. Holding Alt while having an item on your cursor will allow you to left click to walk. So if I so if I don't have these settings turned on, I can just take an item from my inventory and click it onto the ground to drop it, but if I click this on, I can walk around with the item on my cursor, and if I want to drop it, I have to hold Alt, I believe. And the reason why this could be useful is, you know, if you pick up a lot of items and your inventory fills up, you get an item on your cursor, and if you don't want to drop it, you can run around with it on your cursor like this using these settings. Tile centering. So if I turn on, I believe, if I turn on grid, you can see if I enable tile centering, my guy, no matter where I click, he will always move to the center of a grid tile. And if you disable this, you can move... Oh, sorry. If you disable it, you can move wherever you want in the tile. It doesn't just have to be the center, it can be the very edge. Aggro exclusion menu. So this is to do with your aggro hotkey that we set in the keybinds earlier. Mine is set to Q. You can set what people you would like to be excluded from these aggro keybind settings. So I have mine set to green, memorize kinned players. Party members are always excluded, so it's good if you're PvPing with your friends to get into a party, so your aggro hotkey doesn't work on them. It will only work on your foes. So this is another important one for PvP. On to display settings. This is just mainly personal preference. You know, you can show different progression levels within workstations, and you can show different fullness levels within containers. You can color code it, so you can just at a glance see if chests are full or empty, and you can see at a glance if workstations are finished or not. Show object collision boxes. That is what we talked about before, where you can put these little yellow lines around stuff if you want to. Show speed buff circle auras. So this puts a little circle around the speed buffs in the game. It can be useful for PvP. All of these settings put different radii around different things in the game. It can be useful. You just go through it and pick what you want. Object pinging colors, so you can ping things to your friend using Alt and left click. See here, I'm pinging these soil mounds up here, so you can let people know what you're talking about, things you want them to pick up in that. Show object speed, we went over this earlier. It's important because you can see how fast you're going. If you turn it off, you can't. If you turn it on, you can. You can see how fast you're running. Show growth info on plants and trees, so that's just, it lets you know when you can harvest them or not. This one, also show trees above 150%. This is important on wipe day when you're just looking for trees that are above average quality. If you set this percentage to 150, it will show you a percentage on trees that are above quality 15, I believe. Show trees and bushes harvest icon, already went over that. And yeah, most of these ones are self-explanatory, just showing contents and cheese racks tier text. I think we're done with the display settings. Onto the camera settings. This is like, you can choose, different types of camera. Just go with free cam, it's the best. You can like change the zoom speed, change the camera height. Don't mess around with that. I like it how it is. Called graphics settings. So this is some more settings that are important for PvP. Flat world. Pretty much if you fight in certain terrains like mountains, you need to have this enabled, because not having it enabled will mean you can't see where you're going due to the difference in geography, like different height levels in geography. If you turn on flat world, it will just make everything like a super flat Minecraft map. It's good for PvP. Disabling the tile transitions, that just, if we come over here you can just see it like, just makes it like look more shitty. Hide flavor objects. See these little bushes and stuff, you can hide them. It's just visual clutter, just gets in the way. I don't use these settings, so I'm not really sure what they do. Simplified crops and forageables. Flat cave walls, straight cliff edges, these are just more options that can make cliffs more visible to you. So some people like them in PvP, but just go and have a look and see if you like what it looks like. If you don't have to have it enabled. Flat cupboards, that pretty much just makes the cupboards flat so you can see the little stickers that you put on top better. Disable variable materials for objects, that's like stuff that's made out of different materials, you can just make it look generic, like it's all made out of pine wood, if you want to. You can disable like some more graphical settings over here to increase your FPS. Like disable tree and bush swaying, disable smoke, disable scent smoke. And yeah, well, most of these are like graphical options that are personal preference, but if you're struggling for FPS, you might consider turning them off. And these settings down here, when you take drugs in this game, it alters the visual effects on your screen, and some of them can be quite intense, and if you suffer from seizures or anything like that, you might want to disable them, especially this Liberty Caps, which is why it's highlighted in red. It puts some pretty trippy visuals on the screen that might not make you feel well. Alright, moving on. Hiding settings. So this is the key that I use, Control H, to hide things. You can just choose like what you want. See here, these are stockpiles, if I turn them on and off. Yeah, so you've just got all these different options for what you want to be able to hide using this setting. Self-explanatory. Alarms and sound settings, this is another important one. So say Trademan Chu here was an unknown player to me. If he walked onto my screen, I would get a alarm playing. Using this, I'll preview it now for you.
Yo, heads up!
It pretty much plays a sound effect that lets you know that someone's coming towards you, so this can be very, very important for PvP if you're not paying attention. Someone can creep up on you easily, but with these alarm sound effects that is harder to happen. Okay, gameplay automation settings. Okay, toggle on login. You can toggle on login all of these things up here like tracking, swimming, criminal acts, and automated item stacking. Usually you would have to go into your toggle settings down here, if I can find them. I'm struggling. Adventure toggles. Yeah, down here you would have to turn them on and off, but you can just have them turned on automatically on login. Default run speed on login, you can pick what you want your default speed to be. It's good for PvP to have it on sprint, just in case you crash. When you log back in, you'll be instantly on sprint. Gameplay automation features. So this one's a bit complicated, but pretty much in the flower menu, you can pick actions in the game that you would like to automatically be selected for you upon right click. So, say I ticked butcher. If there was an animal corpse and I were to right click on that animal corpse, usually the flower menu would bring up options for me to skin the animal or butcher the animal. But if I have butcher ticked and I also have the flower menu set up, it will just go and butcher the animal for you automatically. So this can be like this is a real big quality of life improvement for the game, in my opinion. Just automatically selecting things upon right click. But there are some things to go over, like, say, with butchering, with an animal, you can also skin it, and if you choose to butcher the animal first, you actually lose the skin. So in that case, you would want to enable this setting, which says auto select first flower menu option when holding control. So what this means is, if you hold control and then go to right click on the animal, it will automatically select the first option in the flower menu, which I believe is skinning. So that's a way you can get around the automation feature in this game, butchering the animal before you get a chance to skin it. And there might be a few other examples of things like that, but you'll just have to work that out yourself. Auto repeat flower menu. So say I had a bunch of chickens in my inventory, like say I had 20 chickens in my inventory. In this game you can right click a chicken to wring its neck, or you can right click the chicken to pluck its feathers. Say you didn't want to do this individually, right click pluck feathers each time for each chicken. You could hold Control and Shift at the same time and simply right click the first chicken in your inventory, and the flower menu would repeat that process for each of the same item in your inventory. So in this case it would do it for all 20 of the chickens. This is also another really big quality of life feature, and yeah, it's pretty much a godsend, and thank you Nightdawg for creating such a lovely client for us filthy public peasants. Also use containers with auto repeat. So this is like if you have chests or cupboards open, it will do the actions from not only your inventory, but it will also do them from the containers that you have open at the time. Auto reload curiosities from inventory. So say you're studying a ladybug or a dandelion, and you have a ladybug and a dandelion in your inventory. When you finish studying one of those curios, it will pretty much just be taken from your inventory and put into your study automatically without you having to do anything. So that's pretty useful. Prevent tableware from breaking. So this is just good for if you've got really high quality symbol, it will stop the ware from destroying the item when you're feasting. It will choose to wear out another piece of cutlery instead. Auto-drop leeches, auto-drop ticks. This is like if you're going through swamps or thickets, you want to auto-drop the bugs off your body. It's also helpful for, there's a tactic where if someone KOs you, I believe they can steal all of your clothing off your body and replace them with leeches, and if they get lucky, the leeches can do the last few points of damage and kill you. So you want this enabled, so you automatically drop leeches as soon as they're put onto your body. Auto-equip bunny slippers plate boots. This is a very easy option to miss, and it's a very important one for PvP. So essentially what this means is, you can see these little shoes that I'm wearing right now. They've got bunny ears on. If you are wearing these bunny slippers and you click on a rabbit, you get a speed boost, and it only applies while you're wearing these slippers. So what this means, automatically equip bunny slippers / plate boots. What this little script will do is, if you click on a bunny, it will take the bunny slippers from your inventory and equip them onto your character automatically. But if you click anywhere else other than a bunny, it will equip the plate boots from your inventory onto your character instead. So why that's useful is you can make use of the speed boost from clicking on bunnies, and you can also have the armor protection from wearing plate boots when not clicking on bunnies. Auto drop manager. This is like, you can choose to automatically drop things from your inventory based on quality. I personally don't use it, but you can if you're doing a lot of mining. I think it would be useful. Auto piece animals when combat starts. This is a useful one because when you get an animal low, it will attempt to run away from you, and if you have it automatically pieced, you don't have to go and click this little button in the top right corner, and you can just re-aggro it a lot easier. It's also helpful for taming. Prevent using rawhide while you're riding a horse. So we talked about rawhide in the action bar earlier. You would want to use rawhide if someone was approaching you on horseback, but if you are on horseback, you can actually rawhide yourself quite easily if you don't have this option enabled. Auto drink water below threshold. This is another one that's quite important for PvP. Essentially, this number represents a percentage in this blue bar down here, and when you reach the percentage that you set here, it will automatically drink for you, so you don't have to press your hotkey. Enable queued movement, so with Alt click you can bring up the queued movement menu, and you can start making little scripts to run your guy around base if you want to do that. Okay, auto loot settings, finally. So we're on to if you KO someone in combat, you can press C or whatever key you want to run over, and depending on what settings you have enabled here, you will take items from their body automatically without having to worry about, being able to do it quick enough before they get to hearth back to their fire, so that can be very useful. Server integration settings, yeah, I don't use it. I don't know. You might want that, but yeah. I think there was some other settings. Right, so you can also find those auto drop leeches, auto drop tick, auto equip bunny slippers, plate boots. You can find that within your equipment tab as well, if you want. Okay, I think that brings us to a close of explaining all of the settings in Hurricane Client, but hopefully highlighting the ones that are useful for the PvP side of things. This has been Pooh Manchu. Thank you for watching the extremely boring content. I'm signing out. Catch you later.